have some breaking news.
Hit me with it.
Walker Howard commits to Ole Miss.
Yep, there you go. I see you shaking your head in astonishment there, Mario.
Holding an LSU football in his edit.
To be fair, this was crystal balled by 247, I think yesterday or the day before. And this makes a lot of sense from a Lane Kiffin perspective, who, look, you saw what Lane Kiffin did with Matt Corral and Jackson Dart, despite not being an abject disaster. Like, I don't know, Jake, how would you describe how Jackson Dart played this year? It seemed great, but then, like the rest of Ole Miss, it just ended horribly.
Yeah, I think he was very inconsistent in how he played. I thought there was some good times. Accuracy was not great. That was probably his biggest struggle. But you do have a returning quarterback who has a full year of starting in the SEC under his belt. He also is a guy that Lane went and got out of the transfer portal, so there's that relationship.
Yeah.
He still threw for 3,000 yards. He had 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and so he did turn the ball over. And some of them were head scratching. If you watch Ole Miss close enough, like the Kentucky game is one that Kentucky didn't have really any business in it at a point. Then they kind of blew it. They probably should have won it because Jackson Dart, turned the ball over multiple times, and they had a great running game, which always helps. But Jackson Dart also, he ran for 614 yards, so that's a portion of his game. I fully expect him to be the guy. He's going to be the number one unless Walker comes in there, is able to displace him. But Jackson Dart has still got multiple seasons left.
So that is the question though. Do you think you do expect Jackson Dart to be the guy? Because I feel like if you're Lane Kiffin, and maybe not, right? Maybe the coach staff just plays it straight and is more honest. But I feel like there's also a world out here, and one of the ways that you attract Walker is by maybe saying, look, I think we can upgrade to that position.
Well, every time any coach goes into any house, gym, they tell you that. Like, even if it's not true.
Well, sometimes a coach will be like, look,
rarely.
Nothing's going to be handed to you.
Very rarely.
But you come here, compete, we'll get you ready, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I think a great coach probably kind of tries to get the measure of the player's personality before you start diving into those pitches, keep it a little more generic first. But I guess I find it hard to believe when Walker Howard left the school that he loved his entire life, where all his friends were, leaving that for playing time only to sit behind Jackson Dart would feel kind of insane.
Yeah, but Jackson Dart also got starts at USC, right, his freshman year.
I'm not hating on Jackson Dart.
He's got experience.
I know. I'm talking just like from a Walker Howard decision-making standpoint.
Well, anywhere you go, if you want to play big boy football, there's going to be a quarterback there. If you go to TCU, Chandler Morris is there. If you went to Florida, they got Graham Mertz from Wisconsin, who they just brought down. So, like, anywhere you go, there's going to be competition.
But is Dart the hardest out of those three to beat out?
Now, Chandler Morris, I'd probably give the nod there because he was the starter over Max Duggan when the season started. He just got hurt.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go Chandler Morris there. But, like, anywhere you go, there's going to be competition. You mentioned, like, leaving his friends. I think that was a real struggle for him. When you talk to people, like, he came in and he was highly touted, very good player.
He was like the leader of the class. Remember him and Will Campbell,
and then you saw Emory Jones and you saw Will Campbell and you saw all of these players, Mason Taylor out there playing, and you're like, man, when am I going to get out there? And then Nuss is obviously only a year ahead of you, and you've got Jaden coming back. So there's a lot that goes into that, but also, like, there's going to be a Jimmy and Joe wherever you go.
Yeah, I guess maybe the difference would be that he'd be the second Jimmy and Joe, even if he loses a job.
He'd be the Joe part of it.
Whereas here, one of the main issues is that Garrett Nussmeier is just ahead of him. And so you had not one but two quarterbacks barring your way to the field. Like, I guess at least if you go to Ole Miss, Jake, even if you don't win the starting job coming out of camp, you're only like a few Jackson Dart frustrating picks away from getting your shot, right? You're only like one disappointing Ole Miss loss away from, the crowd will be yelling for it, the boosters and NIL people will be yelling for it, and you'll get your opportunity. Or maybe you just go out and beat him out. Like Walker Howard is still a premier prospect, and maybe he ends up being like truly great. It's just hard when you feel that if you're LSU, you have two players on the roster at the time that are better. Like, unless I'm really feeling dangerous and feeling risky, it's tough to place a futures bet on a guy developing and forcing playing time if just objectively the guys ahead of him are playing better.
But also remember, Jackson Dart beat out Luke Altmaier, who was the incumbent. He was the guy after Matt Corral that was supposed to start. He played in that Sugar Bowl after Matt Corral went out. And so, like, he was already on Ole Miss's roster, and Jackson Dart beat him out. This is a 4-star quarterback. He was top 20 quarterback in the country out of the state of Mississippi. In fact, he went to Starkville High. Right, so like that was a huge get for Ole Miss at the time, and he has since transferred. I think he's at Illinois now, so he beat him out. So like Jackson Dart's he's been through the competition part at Ole Miss as well. This is like not a hey Walker shows up and he's going to be the guy from day one. I think Jackson Dart would have to get beat out, and he'd have to lose some of the job. Like he'd have to go out there and play bad, and Walker would have to play good.
I think there's probably some NIL that at least maybe factored into this decision making. But even if not,
the Jackson Dart coming from USC's got some NIL situation too.
Yes, exactly. But boosters always love the new big thing, the bigger, better deal, like Cam Diaz and the mask. And I can't help. Like, I think it's going to be interesting, Jake, and maybe they just, maybe just ignore this. I see what you're saying, but do you agree that there will be a lot of noise from boosters and fans to play Walker Howard, like sight unseen? Like exactly what you're saying shouldn't happen. Like that's the majority of Ole Miss fan base is going to want Walker Howard to be penciled in as the one immediately.
Look, I know one Ole Miss fan, Ben Mentz.
Yeah,
and in our LSU heavy plus Rivers group chat at the D-Gen Dome.
Yep.
Like he's throwing out Walker Howard. He was so excited he couldn't help it. We're like, wrong chat. Probably should send this somewhere else. Jimmy's like, we don't really care about. Or Megan, somebody said we don't really care about Ole Miss in this chat.
Meg shut that down real quick.
So, yeah, I mean, guys like that are really, really excited. Because you see Walker Howard, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in last year's class. You feel like you steal him from LSU. Jackson Dart did have some inconsistencies this year. So, yeah, I mean, I understand as an Ole Miss fan, as soon as Jackson Dart throws that first interception, yelling for Walker Howard, but not to say that that's right.
The fans are going to be yelling for Walker Howard before a ball's even thrown.
Yeah.
Like already they're going to be yelling for Walker Howard. So we'll see. But leaving the competition here to go compete at Ole Miss. Whew, weird times, man. Weird times. I'd have gone like the Big 12 or something. Ole Miss?
TCU felt like it made a lot of sense.
I will say this. I love I forgot what I love. I literally just forgot what I was
Lane Kiffin, who's probably going to somehow troll someone today.
No, he already did the trolling. When a few days ago he retweeted the Walker "I got my coach" tweet where he's dancing with Brian Kelly on it. So Lane Kiffin, Walker did get his coach. Lane retweeted and let you know that it's him, not Brian Kelly.
Yeah, they should probably just figure out how to not lose that many games in a row.